doing? Ryan B. Hebert here, and welcome to Series 7 Predictions. Today, I have the Pokésports Podcast bros themselves, still just Mike and X-Rays Ovation, otherwise known as Mike and Kevin. Guys, how we doing?
Hello.
What's up, guys?
Great.
Hello. I'm Mike, and I play with one Pokemon on the field.
I'm Kevin. I play with two Pokemon on the field. Hi,
Wow. Hello. I didn't know that about you both, so there we go. Lovely. So, really, the first thing that I want to know from the both of you is that who are you? You know, who are you to the community? Who do you see yourself as in the community right now?
Yeah, I mean, we run collaboratively a channel called Pokésports. Both of us have been Pokemon content creators for a long time. We decided to put our minds together, put our intellect together, make a thing that we can be truly proud of. That was Pokésports. We come together every single week and talk about news and events and anything that pertains to the esports of competitive Pokemon. Basically, I like to get into the singles of it. Kevin likes to get into the VGC of it. Singles is having a little bit of a rough time right now, so it's mostly about VGC.
I'm a little biased. I don't know if you could tell towards VGC. So, Kevin, I'm excited to hear. But Mike, I still respect your side and your take on singles.
I still respect VGC, man. I've been learning. I've been enjoying it. It's been a good time.
I mean, for the sake of like this generation specifically, it looks like VGC is getting a super push by just Game Freak deciding singles isn't a format anymore. But yeah, we have a podcast, we have a YouTube channel, we have a Twitch channel. We're pretty much everywhere that you can find us. Just if you Google us, you'll find something that pertains to Pokemon and that pertains to Pokesports. But yeah, in general, I like to play with two Pokemon on my side of the field.
Yeah, and I'm forced to.
And you're forced to, yeah.
Well, I love that. And Mike, it's always good to try new things.
It is.
That's the real truth. Maybe one of these days I'll have to give singles another try for sure. What is your favorite upcoming Pokemon coming into the Series 7 metagame? Now, we have a general idea of what is coming back. Obviously, there are some things that are unknown, but to your knowledge or just what you're thinking off the top of your head, what is going to be your favorite going into Series 7?
I'll take a stab at this one. So, I've been testing out a bunch of teams, and the one Pokemon that I find consistently annoying and consistently on all my teams is Sandrush Dracovish.
Huh. Oh.
It's so much more irritating than I gave it credit for before, because specifically now you're allowed to just stick a choice band on it and still be the fastest thing on the field. You also get a lot more speed than you used to with the choice scarf, and now you can actually Dynamax it and not be in a super terrible position if you're really in need of Dynamaxing it.
Right.
But just in general, it's irritating, and then like in combination with T-Tar, that's just like a good type synergy.
I was about to say, because Tyranitar's coming back too. That's just going to be a nasty combination.
Oh yeah, be terrified.
Now for me, I would say that Kartana is actually what I'm looking forward to the most. It's someone that it's a Pokemon that I've been excited for ever since I played singles back in Sun Moon, Ultra Sun Ultra Moon. When just the fact that you have this little guy who can't really take much of a special sneeze, but can absolutely destroy any and almost all Pokemon that are super effective to it and are even just neutrally effective. It's a crazy Pokemon, and I love it so much.
I think something worth mentioning right now is like, remember how annoying like Moxie Gyarados used to be at the beginning of the format? Pretty much every single Ultra Beast has that same combination of a Moxie-esque boost along with the Dynamax factor to pretty much just take as many Pokemon lives as you can and then just continue snowballing the whole game. So I'm just terrified of every Ultra Beast in general.
Very true.
I'm with you on these takes, fellas. First of all, Sandrush Dracovish has been a Pokemon that has been brought up a couple times here. And the viability of it, especially with the hidden ability patch, which we'll get to a little bit later, is going to be huge if we are allowed to use the ability patch on Pokemon like the fossil Pokemon, which we are assuming for right now that yes, you can. So sticking that water coverage on the sand core with Tyranitar, a ground type of your choosing, because lots of ground types coming back. So, who knows what people want to go with. Sandrush Dracovish getting to have that band and still being able to be the fastest thing on the field, it puts on such tremendous pressure. And then Mike, Kartana. So scary. it's probably one of the best grass types, right? Besides Rillaboom, and now we're getting Tapu Bulu back, which is also given Grassy Glide and has its own grassy terrain on top of that. So lots of viability for grass types when there are lots of ground types coming back. We've got lots of Pokemon that are also weak to steel because, if there are going to be a lot of dragon types around, with Dragapult just being one named Pokemon that I think a lot of people are very interested to see if it can claim its place being that ghost dragon, you're going to have fairy types, right? So, Kevin, you're completely right in saying that, like, every Ultra Beast is scary because most of them are really threatening to fairy types. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how these two picks from both of you turn out to be in the metagame, whether it's early on or maybe a little bit later on when people start to figure out the teams. So I appreciate both of your intake on that question there.
Now, I have to say, with Kartana specifically, I just want to highlight one thing, that Kartana has a 570 stat total, and I've run the numbers. 421 of those stats go into attack, defense, and speed. So, like that is, let me just do one more calculate. Yeah, okay, so that's 74% of its stats going into attack, defense, and speed.
Yeah.
So if you need a Pokemon that can attack first, that can take a hit from a physical Pokemon, or it can do some damage, Kartana's your boy.
Not to mention that it gets access to flying type moves that allow it to get the speed boost that we're looking for as well. So it's definitely going to be a threat on the battlefield for a lot of trainers, depending on what they're going to be running. Although I have to say, a namely Pokemon that I just want to bring up, if it's going to be legal, and that I've been seeing a lot on the testing ladder that people have been using, is Heatran. I've been seeing a lot of Heatran running around just due to its typing, its move pool, the fact that Dynamax just buffs it so much. I mean, like that, you just have to respect the fact that that Pokemon's going to be coming back. And when we talk about a special sneeze, Heatran is the one Pokemon you do not want to be taking a special sneeze from. So we're going to have to see how that turns out and how that pans out in the upcoming metagame here. But I want to move on to this next question. Pokemon going away from Series 5 and 6. We've had some fantastic formats. Now, questionably, some people didn't like Series 5, some people didn't like Series 6, but there have been some Pokemon that have been topping those metagames for the past couple months. And for you guys, what do you think are a couple Pokemon that just might be on their way out of the spotlight right now due to Series 7 bringing all these new Pokemon back in?
That's an interesting question. For the same reason that bulky water types kind of took a step down from Series 5, I think now that with the introduction of Rillaboom back and along with the addition of Tapu Bulu, you're going to see a lot of bulky water types kind of take that step back again. We might see Lapras get a little bit less usage. It'll still be used, but a lot less. Things like Primarina can no longer kind of shine like it did in Series 6 because of just, that same oppression. In terms of like Pokemon that are going to compete with Intimidate spots. I mean, now you have Incineroar, Arcanine, and Landorus all competing for that spot, so it all becomes a kind of a coin toss on what fits your team well. We might see a little bit less Arcanine than we're used to seeing now that Incineroar is returning. But yeah, like I think Pokemon that will always remain successful, and especially now with the introduction of fancy new dragon types and just more Pokemon coming into the metagame again. Like Dragapult is always going to be great because in any format that you have a fast dragon, the fastest dragon always wins, and you don't top Dragapult at that point. So I'm terrified of Dragapult still. That wasn't part of the question, but I decided to throw that in.
It's valid, and I appreciate you bringing it up.
Kevin, can we finally say bye-bye to Amoongus?
I really hope so, but I doubt it.
Because listen, so listeners of our podcast or people who watch our videos would know, I have a little something that I like to call the Amoongus Factor.
Okay.
Near the end of Series 5, when we started being able to use Amoongus, or rather during Series 5, the Amoongus Factor was relatively high. People were putting it on their teams. It's a pretty nasty Pokemon. It's super tanky. It has a lot of usability. You can use Rage Powder. You can use Spore. Series 6 happened, and it shot from kind of mid-tier straight up to the top and is now currently sitting at 37% usage, being the highest used Pokemon in the game right now. To me, that means the Amoongus Factor way high. People are, in my mind, when you're using a defensive Pokemon that needs to redirect, that needs to put other Pokemon to sleep, statuses, that tends to show the fear in the current meta. People are afraid of whatever threats they're not used to yet, right? So you've seen Urshifu jump up, you've seen Talonflame jump up, you've seen Dracozold jump up. That's all because people were experimenting. So Amoongus is there to kind of gatekeep those Pokemon from running completely rampant. Now with Series 7 coming up, in my mind, I believe Amoongus is going to fall right off because there's going to be such an offensive presence. There's going to be such a returning pool of Pokemon that people are used to seeing, destroy just teams and sweep and do all of that good stuff. That Amoongus, there's no room for it. It's going to be an incredibly hyper offensive meta, I believe, and Amoongus has no place in it.
Now, going off of that actually makes a lot of sense because we're getting the reintroduction to Togekiss, which, Better Follow Me user, reintroduction to Indeedee, Better Follow Me user, and we're getting all the grass types that were banned in Series 6 are all coming back. So you have Venusaur, you have Whimsicott, you have Rillaboom with the addition of Bulu, with the addition of Kartana. You get a bunch of grass types. Amoongus can't really do anything to grass types.
Right.
So you can't Rage Powder them, you can't Spore them. Like, you're literally stuck there in front of a grass type, not being able to do anything. So maybe with that fact, you will see a little bit of a drop in usage with the Amoongus too.
Now, I have to say, and you might hate me a little bit, I am a big supporter of the Shroom. And you might not be a fan of that, Mike. And in doubles especially, Amoongus presents itself to be one of the peskiest opponents to be on the field, pretty much at all times. So I completely agree with the logic that you have all these Pokemon that threaten Amoongus that are coming back, that will see a drop in usage, and I think no doubt there will be. And at the same time, we saw Amoongus being used in Ultra Series format, where if you want to talk about offensive pressure in a format where we had Z moves, that to me is like, I've seen Amoongus do things, Kevin and Mike. I've seen Amoongus do things that it should not be able to do, okay? But somehow, this grass poison little still keeps kicking. And to your comment on not being able to deal with grass types, if you are smart and you have AV on Bulu or Rillaboom, you're going to do good. But Pollen Puff on Amoongus or Stab Sludge Bomb, for example, while not common moves, are very possible in a format if we see the Rise in Grass Pokemon, which I think we're gonna. It's guaranteed because Rillaboom is so good. And Bulu, people want to see if Bulu can work with its new moveset. With Dynamax as well. I mean, I brought this up before. It's the reason why I used Sudowoodo in Players' Cup 1 and why I tried to use it again in the qualification for Players' Cup 2, which I think I made it in. The reason why Sudowoodo works is because Dynamax allows these Pokemon, which typically have the inability to work in a format on their own, but now that they have Dynamax to support them with extra HP, special defense boosts with Max Ground, for example. I mean, Stomping Tantrum on Bulu, like, that is a special defense boost. Bulu usually does not like to take special moves, but now, I mean, I could see Bulu taking a Sludge Bomb after a couple of Max Grounds, you know what I mean? But the chances of that happening on the field, I don't know, because I don't know what the series is going to bring us so far, but all I know is that people have run Amoongus a million different ways over several different formats and always find a way to keep bringing it back, even in the most offensive of situations. So this is the topic that I am very curious to see on at this point now in all of these that I've done so far. The Amoongus factor is probably going to be the thing that sticks on my mind the most, just like a spore, right? Just like a spore. So
coming out of this, it's going to be Amoongus finds a way for me.
Legitimately, I'm now scared to know if Amoongus is going to be prevalent as much as it has been in Series 6 coming into Series 7. So we will see. But moving on here. Upcoming team cores that you see being as strong. I've asked some players about this, and some people have been playing with different things that they like or they're feeling really good about. What do you think is what's kicking around in your team builder right now that you feel you're pretty confident in?
I'm gonna let Kevin handle this one. He's the one who's actually been building these teams recently.
For sure.
A good core that I can think of would be like a Rillaboom, Dracovish, Ensign, T-Tar, and Dusclops. That sounds like
serious spot.
That sounds like almost a whole team right there. But Yes, just sticking around that whole like Dracovish and T-Tar combination is very strong. You can easily build any team around that. You could also do cool things like Brutal Swing Raichu and Metagross, or like I've seen Bulldoze Salamence and Metagross all over the place. Just like a fast Bulldoze plus Metagross is really good with Weakness Policy and Dynamax. Mm, I've seen a lot of Finnies, and I don't know why yet, but but I've seen a lot of them.
I've had a
we've been touting that one as like that just got the short end of the stick in Crown Tundra, so I'm surprised.
It got Flip Turn and it got Misty Explosion, so it can either leave or die.
Yeah, legitimately. That has been a contentious Pokemon on some of the conversations I've had. I've had creators say that Feeny will be the best, and then I've had creators say that Feeny is really just gonna suck. And it sounds like to you guys that you're saying that Feeny, got the short end of the stick with new moves and such. And I mean, it already has so much support and offensive pressure going for it already that I don't see much that could have been added to it personally. And so I'm not surprised by the lack of moves being added. But hey, you never know. They could have invented a new move just for Tapu Fini, just to stick in the game. You know what I mean? So
they invented Grassy Glide to get rid of it.
Yeah, legitimately. So, well, thank you for sharing that, Kevin. Appreciate it. Moving on. Let's talk about the Genies, okay? There's a lot of hype around Lando-T and hidden ability Genies. What are your thoughts? Are they overhyped? Are they underhyped?
In terms of Landorus, I'm okay with it. I've played with so many formats that had Landorus. Like I've been playing since 2014, so I've seen Landorus a couple times in my day. I know how to deal with it. I know how to tolerate it. The removal of Hidden Power Ice is going to be a little bit difficult to just get those really cheap KOs on Landorus, but I mean, you got a bunch of Pokemon with ice moves. I know like a bunch of the new birds are coming in. They all have like competitive and defiance, so maybe just Intimidate Spam isn't going to be as viable this time around. I mean, it's always going to be good, but you have better options other than like just the Milotic. Yeah. So that's nice at least. In terms of the other
also,
wait, what's up?
And I mean, also, regardless of Intimidate or not, a Landorus doesn't really want to take a triple axle from almost anybody.
No.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. There is that as well. I mean, I feel like there have been a lot of new moves that can deal with specifically Landorus-T. You've got triple axle, you've got Grassy Glide. There's just more versatility, and Landorus-T hasn't really been upgraded in any way to kind of deal with that. So now you just have more options.
The only thing that I can't say it was upgraded on is the fact that it can now use the move Fly offensively with Max Airstream being an option, which is a little terrifying. And yeah, that's just the only thing I would really keep out for. I mean, there are better Max Airstream users in my opinion, but you get the stab on the Landorus this time around. In terms of the other Genies, I think Defiant on them is great. I mean, we get to have more offensive options for these other Genies instead of them just taking over their support role. Their Prankster support role is still going to be like really good because you still get the Prankster Tailwind, you get the T-Wave Swagger on the Thundurus. But yeah, now they have more of an offensive option, and there's more of a gamble when you see one. Like you don't know, okay, is this gonna T-Wave me or is this just gonna Rising Voltage me out of existence? Mm-hmm. Like which one is it gonna do? It also just makes it like having that potential for a Defiant user just makes it even less appealing to bring an Intimidator to the match.
Yes.
Because it's a 50-50 at that point.
So the hidden ability patch, is it going to make a difference? It seems like an easy question, but I'd like an explanation of why it's going to make a big difference, especially whether it be for breeding, for competitive battling. Like what in your perspective is so influential about this item?
It's a good point about breeding. Yeah, that really helps out things a lot. Now you don't really have to worry about a Pokemon coming out with the wrong ability, because you can just either ability capsule or hidden ability patch that. So I mean, as long as they make it relatively I guess accessible, then I think that's just going to kind of put the final nail in the coffin for really needing to do all that much, put in that much effort for making a Pokemon that you really like. I mean, heck, you can even use the starter Pokemon that you started your Sword and Shield adventure with. You can Hyper Train, you can mint, and you can hit an ability patch, and suddenly you've got a Cinderace that keeps up with all the other Cinderaces. Like that's not bad. And then of course you alluded to Dracovish and Sandrush.
Yep.
So
That's like Game Freak has been taking very steady steps, especially in like Sword and Shield. It kind of feels like a big lunar jump in terms of like how accessible competitive Pokemon just became because of
yeah,
you can literally take a Rattata you found on the street and make it a competitive Raticate with just the resources that you have
yeah,
available. So that's really nice in terms of the ability patch, and also I think it just opens up competitive. A lot of these Pokemon are getting hidden abilities that we've never seen before. At least I don't remember ever seeing before. Like you
Mm-hmm.
get inner focus on the legendary Johto legends.
Mm-hmm.
Along with we said the Sand Rush and Slush Rush on the Dracovish and friends. Defined on Genies. I mean, this all opens up new things that we weren't seeing before, but I think more so accessibility, just like being able to, hey, I caught this shiny Pokemon, I want to make it competitive,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have the right ability. Let's make it competitive. I mean, it's a nice quality of life change for sure.
yeah. You know what I have seen though is I've noticed that every time they open up the pool of Pokemon or the pool of moves or the pool of abilities, the meta seems to solidify that much more.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would have expected, and Series 6 is a great example, what I would have expected is that you would have had a varying meta all the time, and that's kind of what we saw in Series 6 when they shortened things. First month people kind of didn't really know what to do. Second month we've got a little bit of a solidified meta, but nothing that passes 40% usage. In previous series 5, series 4, series 3, even we saw Pokemon like Arcanine, Togekiss, uh all the ones that basically got banned,
Mm-hmm.
that broke that 40% usage percentage. And just it felt like that was because we had so much that people were like, there's too many options here, let me just choose the ones that I think are going to work the best, and those ones just were consistently performing. So I'm thinking that with the hidden ability patch opening things up that much more, then it's going to be even more so people looking for the things that can handle the most Pokemon and then bring that. I personally think we're going to see things that break 50% usage in this next series. That's my Series 7 prediction.
Mm-hmm.
Deal with that.
I'm very interested to see if that's going to be the truth, Mike. And in time, we'll find out. Now, this is probably the most important question that I pose to every single group of creators coming on here. And so just hear me out for a moment as I pose this question, because it is very important. Very important. Now, in the past, Tapu Swulu himself, Tapu Bulu, has gotten quite the disrespect, I would say. Now, I just want you to picture this in your mind for a moment. You can even close your eyes to picture it even better, okay? Picture this. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon. Saturday morning, you're at a local league facing a younger player, and you know that you have something special up your sleeve in this Series 7 battle. You've got a Tapu Bulu, but not just any Tapu Bulu. Max attack, adamant Tapu Bulu with grassy glide. You've got grassy terrain set up. You've got a choice band as well. You know you've got the boost from grassy terrain boosting your grass type move. You know you've got the stat boost from being a grass type itself, and the choice band giving you extra damage as well. And priority. And you just blow this kid to smithereens because his Tapu Koko didn't have any defense EVs. You can open your eyes now. It's all good. Now,
in round 2,
I will say...
I was gonna say then round 2, the Amoongus Factor kicks in and does dominate Tapu Bulu.
We won't mention that, but I'll keep that in there. So, without bias from what I just said, which may be hard, but please do your best. Which Tapu, in your opinion, will reign supreme in Series 7?
Layla.
Are they? Oh, Coco.
Okay. I'd like to hear
victory.
both of these opinions, because you guys are pretty even with how other creators have been going, either Lele or Coco. So Kevin, why do you say Lele?
Because expanding force is disgusting, and like just to compare, like we all remember how much like expanding force used to do on Indeedee. Indeedee only has 105 attack. Lele has like what 135.
Yeah.
Like that's an extra 30 base points that we're gonna have to worry about with expanding force. I'm just terrified of that, and I think I always will be. You can even pair it next to like an unburdened, like what fake tears user, and pretty much guarantee Okos every turn.
Yeah.
Um, that's my opinion. I also think that hot take Rillaboom is still better than Bulu. Don't don't
It's
delete me from
okay.
the channel.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I respect it. Bulu has
Fake
a
out.
pretty
That's all I need.
yeah. Fake out is probably the number one thing that separates the Rillaboom from the Bulu, shall I say? But Mike, you're saying Tapu Lele? What? Or
I'm saying
sorry,
Tapu Koko.
Tapu Koko. Why is that?
Well, in a vacuum, if you have the Tapus against each other, I don't think that Tapu Koko is actually going to perform all that well. But if you think about the Pokemon that reigned supreme in Series 5, that being Togekiss, that being Togekiss, because that's really all I need to take down. Primarina, even. There's some pretty major threats that Rising Voltage is just going to end immediately. And those are the things that I value the most, is what can take down Togekiss right now.
Yeah.
What's coming in that's going to be the Togekiss threat? Because Togekiss is obviously going to come back. So, yeah, Rising Voltage.
So, Mike, I just
nice we don't have to use a Pincurchin for electric terrain anymore.
That too.
It's true. 15 speed Pincurchin just sitting on the field there with Sucker Punch. Yeah.
I didn't hate it. I didn't hate
it. Yeah. Now here's something that I find interesting, Mike, about that the usage of using Rising Voltage. So I was doing some testing with a friend, and we found, and I believe for this to be true, we found that for Rising Voltage to get the doubled effect in electric terrain, the target also has to be grounded. And so going up against threats like Togekiss that you mentioned, while it's still going to be a very powerful move, it will not be as effective as when Togekiss was on the ground. So does that at all change your opinion that flying types are actually immune to getting that extra damage because they're not sitting on the ground to get electric terrain?
No, and I knew that. It's just that is what Tapu Koko is going to run. You're going to be going in with a Rising Voltage. It's not going to do that double damage to Togekiss, but it is still going to be more than enough to take it out, if not do a ton of damage, especially in terrain.
I just realized how much rain teams hate this new format with a very strong Bulu and Koko, electric terrain and grassy terrain. Wow, water types are not sitting in a good spot right now.
Very true. I mean, the only unfortunate thing for Tapu Koko, and the only thing that kind of pushes me in the direction of Lele or Bulu or even Feeny, is just the fact that it's so fast that if you lead with it while somebody else leads with any of the other terrain setters, the discount ones included, it's not going to have electric terrain come off.
Kevin, any final words in response to Mike's supporting Koko still?
Lele still wins.
Well, Kevin, you might feel better about this one. Moxie Boost is definitely on your side when it comes to Tapu Lele. But Mike, Snooze VGC, who I also got some time with on the podcast, his opinion was Tapu Koko, especially with the new physical moves that it's getting for coverage. I mean, physical Koko, it's seen usage in the past, but the one thing that I'm skeptical about is the loss of Skydrop. Being able to take that turn in the sky and to avoid all damage and usually be the fastest thing on the field. So you'd be the first one up and the first one down. Like, there was a lot that you could do with that. And so I'm interested to see if a physical Koko still has that power and potential. So only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
Big rip to Koko. But could be a big rip to Lele. I mean, I think the biggest rip, probably, in my opinion, has to be going to Tapu Fini. In the past, we've seen it be supportive, we've seen it be offensive, and now here we are in Dynamax, and it's just like, there's so much that's gotten extra oomph to it that, as we mentioned before, it's going to make it hard for Fini to do his thing. But I wouldn't count it out. I think a lot of people are still trying to use it, especially just for its typing and supportive values as well. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Does Koko still get Sky Attack?
It does.
It gets Brave Bird.
So, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you still have some potential there, exactly. So we will see. You are both correct in your own ways. It's just, you've got a couple weeks now until we start to see who truly is right. So
we will see. Yes.
We'll find out. Guys, I just want to thank you so much for joining us here on Series 7 Predictions. Kevin and Mike, guys, be sure to follow them on Twitter and all resulting other platforms that Pokesports are out on. They put out videos consistently. I know you guys stream as well every now and then. So, guys, be sure to give them a follow. Any final words from the both of you?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a great time.
It was a pleasure to have you both on here, folks. Thanks for watching this video. We'll be back soon with another guest here on Series 7 Predictions. How we doing? See you next time.